Well, colleagues, wherever you're located and whatever time zone you find yourself in, on behalf of the GEO Program Board and my two co-chairs, Andiswa and Evangelos, who you'll meet later in the week, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the GEO Virtual Symposium 2022. Now, I've been asked to ask you to please show your faces. Let's see a good-looking lot out there, and turn the microphones off. That's it. Come on, let's see who we're talking to. Okay.
We have Mamuka from Georgia in the house. Hello.
Yana, nice to hear and nice that you remember my name. Thank you very much.
Oh, I do, but I
Very
do.
pleased.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, then. Well, thank you for doing that, and you're welcome to watch. This year is a very important time in the life of the GEO community for a number of reasons, and I'll just give you a couple. It's an important time as we continue to work through and implement the recommendations from the GEO Midterm Evaluation Report, which was released by the Executive Committee last year. It's also a very important time as we, the GEO community, are called upon to work with and contribute to the outcomes of the expert advisory group set up by the Executive Committee to review the concept of GEOS in the context of future and emerging Earth observation practices and capabilities. And if you want a third one, it's an important time as we oversee the activation and the implementation of the next GEO work program, cover the 3 years, 2023 to 25. And this to be one in which we seek to engage participants and potential users to more effectively address the core drivers of GEO, related mainly to climate, SDGs, disasters, and sustainable urban development. To the word important, I would just like to add, by way of introduction, another word, and that's challenging. It's a challenging time because the nature and practice of Earth observation is changing at a very rapid rate. We know that. For example, the number of data platforms now available for downloading satellite imagery has increased significantly over the globe in recent years, and many of them offer analysis-ready data and also automated analytical software and tools to produce environmental information that's required for societal decision-making. Just one example. I don't have time to go into others. But it's also a challenging time because the geospatial world, in which Earth observation is a very crucial component, now encompasses expertise from many disciplines outside the traditional physical and engineering sciences from which Earth observation and remote sensing had its origins. And these groups are planning new pathways, plotting new pathways to produce information for decision making. So having just canvassed two things, it's important and it's challenging. Let's come back to the symposium as we attempt to make a few linkages. The theme for the virtual symposium is global action for local impact. Hopefully linking outcomes from sessions over the next 4 days will provide an opportunity for us to explore more efficient GEO products and services, which together could lead to more effective mechanisms in Earth observation applications, and particularly applications at the local level. If this symposium encourages greater dialogue between local stakeholders and GEO's national partners and participating organisations in respect to the activities of the work program, then this will be great. We might be able to help identify more innovative and reproducible applications and solutions that work at the local level as well as those at national and regional level. And lastly, as a community, the ability to share good practice and lessons learned in areas such as user engagement, capacity development, achieving equality, diversity and inclusion for all, and ensuring open data and open knowledge guidelines are implicit in all GEO research and capacity building initiatives. This will serve not only to enhance the quality of the research results, but lead to greater uptake in Earth observation applications that are produced. So by way of introduction, finally, I would just like to say thank you to the Symposium Subcommittee for putting together an exciting program, and ask that you as Symposium participants take full advantage of the opportunity to contribute to the discussion on developing future GEO mandates. Thank you and welcome to Global Action for Local Impact. I'm very happy to hand over the platform to Yana Gevorgyan to say a few words of welcome.
Thank you, Tony. And as per usual now, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, wherever you are. We're so happy you joined us. I'm told this is 13th GEO Symposium, give or take a symposium. So we have a pretty long history. And as ever, my huge, enormous, massive thanks go to the group that put this event together, including our own Secretariat team. Thank you guys really for continuing the great efforts to get us together and convene this community. Happy Eid to those who are celebrating, wishing you and your families and all of our humankind good health and peace. I've been asked to limit my words of welcome to only 5 minutes, so I won't go into stating the obvious, that the decisions and actions that are being taken today, the policies and plans that are being developed for tomorrow, require consistent, reliable evidence about the state of the Earth. And if ever there was a time when GEO's mission was highly relevant and needed, that time is now. But what I will emphasize is that the pace with which we must generate this evidence and ensure its delivery into the hands of decision makers demands much more of us. The development of our final 3-year work program of the current decade of GEO is really a unique window of opportunity for our community to consider a few key aspects that will be essential for our work program to be on the winning trajectory. I could count 4 of those essential aspects. So let me share my thoughts with you on what they are. One is the speed of transitioning activities from research to operations. Accelerated change requires accelerated access to information. Our ongoing activities, but also the new efforts, must shift focus on the operationalization of the information products and services that have been in development for several years now. The policy and the decision relevance of our work, ensuring that those results, the products and the services, are fit for purpose, or in other words, that they can and will deliver evidence and answer questions that will underpin policies and actions on the ground. Thirdly, our reach. Once we have the validation that our products and services are fit for purpose, then we must accelerate our efforts to deliver them to end users. And I do mean end users, the policymakers, the decision makers, or as we like to say, the last mile. We know that our place in the value chain is further upfield from the end user, so we must rely on strategic partnerships with organizations who work at the national and subnational level. Many of those organizations are already part of the GEO community and our network. One of them is the United Nations Development Program. We're glad to have Babatunde Abidoye as our featured guest speaker, who just in a few minutes will share the perspective from operating with and within countries and how we can best partner to deliver information on time and into the right hands. And finally, impact. This is where the magic happens. We can inform action and deliver environmental and socioeconomic impact. And this becomes the story that we need to communicate to everyone, to our funders, to all the partners with whom we locked elbows to design those products and services, to the partners who helped us reach the end users, to the prospective donors who can help us scale our efforts, and to the citizens who are more in tuned into environmental policy discourse today than ever before. The majority of our work program activities are returning work. In other words, they are continuing activities. In these weeks and months, I invite you to challenge yourselves and evaluate your past and present trajectories and build your future trajectory on your successful practices. I'd say don't be afraid to leave some of the established practices behind. If they haven't moved your work forward, if they haven't brought you closer to impact, maybe it's not the work you need to carry forward. Pivot, shift, lean into the new direction. This week's sessions will offer you much food for thought. I hope those of you who are not featured on panels, but whose work very much relates to the discussions and to the context, will indeed chime in, because we don't know what we don't know, and we don't know what key contributions we're missing out there. I hope you don't miss my very important words calling on you not to miss this window of opportunity to develop plans for your activity that will drive our work program towards scalable operational products and services, integrating across disciplines, integrating across communities to answer the complex integrated policy issues. This is the kind of the work program that should serve as the underpinning for the post-2025 GEO that we will soon embark on. So let me make no joke, the pressure is on. And we at the Secretariat are walking this journey with you, from analysis of where best opportunities for integration and operationalization exist, to designing a plan for impact, to telling and communicating the story. We are in this with you. We are in this together. Finally, before I turn this over back to Tony, I'd like to take a moment and share with you a few updates from us, the Secretariat. And I'll start with one that will most assuredly leave you with a bit of feeling of sadness. This symposium is the last large event in which one of our key team members, Craig Larley, will participate. So I take this as an opportunity to share with you that after 5 years of being in the Secretariat and over 15 years, I think, being with GEO, Craig will be leaving us to return home to Canada. I know that majority of you have had your full share of experiences in working with Craig in very many capacities and have your experiences to share. But we're stuck in this virtual platform right now and we're not all in one room. So I'd like on behalf of everyone to recognize Craig for his extensive contributions to GEO and wish him a very, very fond farewell. But we also have some additions in our Secretariat team. And as I name our new colleagues, I hope that if cameras are not yet on, everyone will put, I see some of them are on. So this week we have welcomed 3 new colleagues who will be continuing this journey together with us all. And that is Ernest A. Chapong, who is, say hi there, he's waving. He's joining us as our capacity development coordinator. I know how many of you have been anticipating when we would finally have a capacity development coordinator on our team. And he just traveled here from Ghana on Saturday and reported to work today. We are so pleased to have Ernest with us. We have Sam Natal, who is our strategic communications specialist. He waved hello just now too. Sam will be starting with us on May 20th, and by God, we know how much we've been missing communication specialists as well. And finally, Madiha Badwa, waving hello. She also started today as the Chief Work Program Coordinator who will take over and continue the work that Craig has founded. We also have Paula De Salva's birthday today. So we have lots and lots of happy moments that have set really good energy here. And I hope we're projecting that good energy onto this virtual audience. And with this, I will turn this back over to Tony to continue. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Yana, for those comments. Colleagues, it's my pleasure to introduce Babatunde. If I get your name wrong, I'm sorry, Abidoye. English pronunciation in Australia is not too good, but welcome to our session this morning. Babatunde has been, or is the Global Policy Advisor for SDG matters within the UNDP, and he's running a UNDP Data's Future platform. He's had considerable experience over the last 20 odd years, at least, working with data analysis and also with any number of environmental and societal applications. Babatunde, we welcome you to our meeting and we look forward to what you have to say to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Thanks, Yana and colleagues. Nice to meet everyone. I know we've said a lot of good morning and good afternoon and good evening already, but it's morning here and the sun is just coming out, so it's really nice. I'm happy to join you today. I think as we continue this journey to improve availability and access and use of open data observations, actually to impact policy and decision making. And Yana talked a lot about in the opening about local actions and important information that can help drive decision making at the local level. And I think that will be one of the key things as we go in the next 8 years as towards 2030 agenda. So the 2030 agenda, as we know, is a universal agenda for humanity, right? Which is guided by a vision of sustainable and fair world, right? But changes have been too slow, right? So the hard-won poverty gains before COVID are at risk, right? So our analysis in 2021, the UNDP, for instance, shows that close to 1 billion people could be in poverty in 2030. Right? 250 million of that as a direct result of COVID. And today in many countries, poverty is not only increasing, but is also doing that at a faster pace. Such a reversal is also threatening to increase inequality, right, within and across countries. As you see, even on the COVID vaccination by itself, there's a lot of inequality in vaccine rates, right, across countries, within countries. Then we also, on top of that, have the compounding effects of multiple shocks. The multiple shocks from COVID, multiple climate, conflict, which is further making achieving these goals difficult. So we're now less than 8 years to 2030, right? Halfway into the agenda itself. And I would like to remind us of what the ambition was back then, right? So it was supposed to be a blueprint for development created to manage global issues, right? Including all the conflict and shocks and pandemics that we looked at. And in 2019, the UN Secretary General called on all sectors of society to mobilize for a decade of action. So we're now in a decade of actions, as many of us say. But there were 3 areas on that decade of action, right? So the first is global action to secure leadership, more resources, and smarter solutions, right, for the SDGs. This is one of the strongest value of a community like this, of the Group on Earth Observation. And I'm happy to join you today at the opening of the virtual symposium. The second and third levels, which is very, very critical, are local and people actions. Right? Local actions that embeds the needed transition into policies, institutions, right? That goes into cities and local authorities, right? In support of actions that can help us accelerate the SDGs. Then the people action, which includes, I see a lot of colleagues in civil society, academia, youth, right? To generate solutions and unstoppable movement that can help us push for the required transformations, including the use of geospatial and Earth observation. So we need to be able to see information in different ways, right? From the Earth observation to information on livelihoods, information on poverty, information that helps drive local actions. So at UNDP, our focus is how we'll reach the furthest behind and those that are at the margins that can potentially be pushed into poverty. With COVID, we saw a big part of that, right? A lot of people that were at the margins of poverty were at a big risk of being pushed into it. And to do this, right, to generate actions that will help us understand this and provide different policies, we need a new generation of analytical tools and approaches that helps us understand and act in the face of multiple and intersecting crises, especially in an integrated and system way. So as Yana was saying earlier, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of information, there's a lot out there, but how do we bring all of that together to be able to start to understand the issues in a different way? So we are putting our focus on tools that are evidence-based, innovative, adaptable, and most importantly, that is actionable. Our flagship research initiative in UNDP, right, on COVID impact on the SDGs, found the potential for profound acceleration through this integrated set of investments in what we call the SDG push, right, which focused on social protection, green economy, governance, and most importantly, digitalization. But we understand that to take this integrated policy, integrated solutions to scale, we need to shift the need to learn SDGs at the national and subnational level. We need to deepen our understanding of context, opportunities in the local landscape, including barriers. So how are we thinking of it? We need to be able to identify gaps and diagnose problems in the first place. Yes, there's a lot of information out there, but we need to start to bring all of them together to be able to help engage policymakers. And this helps us, the engagement of the policymakers help look at these issues in a different way so that we can start to identify new solutions that can help us make bold choices at the national and local level, and also be able to understand the trade-offs, right? And from that, iterate and innovate. We are harnessing these insights and lessons from both COVID response and previous SDG initiatives to design a new approach for accelerating the SDGs. So we believe that these three foundational elements of analytics, innovation, and finance can help move us forward and help us accelerate the SDGs. We believe that this information, when combined and built together, as I've emphasized a lot, right, gives us the best chance of developing these sustainable and effective solutions. So my challenge to you today, colleagues, is that we get involved through this, as we get involved through the GEO community, right, contributing data, contributing knowledge, and contributing our tools or resources for the GEO community. We should think of how that information can help us understand the multidimensional local impact, right, that would drive bold actions at the local level, and also track our progress across multidimensional development outcomes. And I look forward to listening to the sessions and as we go through on this journey together towards 2030. Thank you very much, and thanks Yana and Anthony for having me today.
You're very welcome. We have a few moments for questions before we have to move off to the next session. So if you have a question, could you please indicate? I think there were some very interesting words there for me. I understood UNDP for global leadership, local actions, and generate solutions. And there was something nicely about tools needed to be innovative and actionable. I think actionable is a great word. Anyway, questions. Anyone like to ask a question? I don't see any questions.
Stephen is here. Oh, yes,
Is he
sir.
there? Oh, okay, Stephen, I'm sorry. I thought someone was monitoring. I can see your hand. You have the platform.
Thanks, Tony, and thanks, Babatunde. Babatunde, when we worked together a few years ago, we were going to put some, we were going to put some elements of the GEO work program into some countries in Africa to support UNDP's work. It was GeoGLOS and GeoGLAM. At that stage, we hadn't yet started the sort of integrative thinking that Yana's been talking about. From your experience, what are the sort of the challenges and the pitfalls of trying to consider this in a practical situation on the ground, where you're looking at water security, you're looking at food security, you're looking at all these other things that come in unexpectedly. Could you kind of give a feel for that?
Sorry, Stephen. So a feel for why it's challenging to put in those solutions.
Yeah, the challenges around the integration, because we have so many activities in the work program that are sort of linked and associated, but it's quite hard to get everyone to work together. And then actually, and this is about global to local, so you've got the experience of both. Yes,
thanks, Stephen. So I think one of the main issues is that there's the funding part of it, where everything is segregated, right? And which doesn't help to bring all of it together, right? And part of what we've been trying to do now is to say, can we start with that integrated approach and think through the different issues together first, right? And have everybody in the room to identify the solutions. And then from there, you can now go break into those different areas. So for instance, now in South Africa, Namibia, Indonesia, Peru, and Moldova, we're working with the government to understand the gaps that it's on the SDGs aspect, and then what kind of solutions are required at the strategic policy level. Right. And once we're able to do that, looking at those issues together, then it's easier to now say on the water side, for instance, these are the kind of initiatives and this kind of intervention that we need. On the climate side, these are the kind of policies that we need to put in place. And most importantly, what will it cost to be able to implement those solutions and be able to understand the trade-offs for our policymakers. So Stephen, on the nature, climate, energy side, for instance, part of what we are doing now is to say, those kind of projects that are, sector specific, can we use them as leverage, right? To be able to understand the interconnection with other issues, and also be able to put in place investment that helps us to move forward with that. So I think it's more coordination across different development agencies and across working with governments and in how to rethink these issues, and also being able to understand what it will take in order to move forward. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Babatunde, for that answer. Look, I understand our time is up for this introductory session, and so I would like to thank everybody for participating, and I'll hand back to the Secretariat as we move into the second session. Thank you.